Listen, it is imperative that you protect your information, your privacy, and your thoughts. And one of the ways you can protect yourself is with Surfshark, a VPN service that makes online privacy protection easy and attainable, blocking ads, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts. And it's available for multiple devices, unlimited, simultaneously. And with one tap, I'm connected to Canada. By the way, did you know that Canadian Netflix has all the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but we don't? That's bullshit. But what's not bullshit is if you go to surfshark.deal/TeamFourStar and enter the promo code TeamFourStar, you'll get your first 3 months free and 85% off your subscription. Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go make pancakes.
Hello and welcome to the Talkcast Podshow, the #1 show on the internet. And I need a lozenge. I am the world's shortest giant, Lanny Pator, and I'm joined this week by the world's cuddliest bugbear, Grant.
Oh, I was gonna say, and I'm the curmudgeonly commander lady.
Oh, you're gonna be Judy
Commander
Dench.
Root.
Everybody grunts like they're Patty and Selma.
I tried to make the sound she makes, and my throat, I feel like I've got a throat that's maybe been a little abused over the years, and I'm still like, I can't quite get that.
It's years of being a very old British lady.
I guess.
It takes that kind of experience that, unfortunately, we don't have as young English men or American men. Yeah. Not from England. So, Grant, Artemis Fowl.
Oh, Fowl was right. Right off the bat there.
More like Fartimus Bowel.
Oh,
Oh my God. I was ready for it to be bad. I was ready for it to be enjoy-a-bad, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went in with like zero knowledge. I've never read any of the books. I don't know any of the backstory. Nothing like that. So I was going in fresh, and I feel like there were a lot of people. Initially, what I saw was people going like, they've ruined the book. Like, they told the story wrong. And like, that seemed to be like a big complaint, is like, they changed all of this stuff. And I always like going into stuff like that blind, because then I'm like, all right, if I still think this is fun, then I think it's successful. I think it's perfectly fine for you to change, like even dramatically change from source material if you still create an entertaining product in the end, especially for people who are coming in fresh.
Exactly. The best example I could give for that is Scott Pilgrim. It changes its source material a lot, but it's still amazing.
Yeah, it's still really fun, and it made me like want to look at more Scott Pilgrim stuff, and like that it's a successful venture. This, on the other hand, made me go, Artemis Fowl might be a fine book series. I don't think I want to check it out.
Yeah, which is sad, because the books are really good. I read maybe not all of them, but a bunch of them a long time ago. And this does indeed change a lot of Artemis's character, and I almost guarantee it was through reshoots, because I can see parts of this movie where it's like, I think they wanted to do the original plot while mixing it a little bit with like the second book's plot, because that's definitely what they did. Like they have some of the second book in this, and but then they like switched around to make the kid less evil.
Okay,
which is what he's supposed to be.
So the kid's supposed to be evil, because that would make so much more sense.
Maybe evil is the wrong phrase, but he's supposed to be like the movie tries to print him as a criminal mastermind. Yeah,
he seems like borderline sociopathic, but then also like not to just kind of jump ahead in the plot, but like Officer Short, I feel like they share zero screen time practically, and all of a sudden it's like, well, do you trust me? Can I let you out of this cage? Will you not do anything? And it's like, I don't know where we were supposed to get the impression that they had somewhere become like friends through him capturing her. And I got that there was some sense of magic at play when he's like, I've invited you to my house, now you can't do anything to me. So I understood some layer there, but it like then became well, my dad died. Well, my dad's been kidnapped. We have something in common. We love our dads. We're probably
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, exactly. None of that made sense to me, and I thought I just had entirely missed something.
You missed about 2 books of development in their character arcs, basically.
That would make significantly more sense.
Because, the last thing I want to do is pick on the kid that played Artemis, because I've seen a lot of people talking about how he did like a poor job, he like didn't know how to react, but based on the character he was originally playing, I think he was doing pretty all right. It was when they tried to interject emotionality later that it didn't work, because the character that I think they cast was a stone cold sociopath kid who doesn't, who just coldly calculates everything.
Yeah, like I was kind of, even though I thought he was a jerk, I was kind of like okay with him in that, what was it, like one of the first scenes we see with him when he's like talking to the psychiatrist or something.
Yeah, we'll get into the bullshit that is like jerking off all the main cast, but he's just like cold, calculated, and like is always just like kind of in his own head and planning. That's kind of the character of Artemis Fowl, and you don't really get into like the emotionality of him much in the first book. You get like bits of his background, like his relationship with his mother and father, and like you get some heart there that is behind this very cold facade, but he's a calculating kid, and that is, I think, what they cast. But when they ask him to emote and they give him this let's be honest, really bad script.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the script is maybe like one of the biggest problems with this movie.
I cannot fault this kid because, and also he's a kid. Like, this is literally his first and only IMDb credit, aside from, I think, traveling around to promote the movie on Entertainment Tonight Canada.
Okay, that's pretty impressive. Like that being considered it being one of his first things,
and it must have. Yeah. And you know what? I bet he had a fucking blast working on this movie. It looked like it would have been a lot of fun to work on. Yeah,
and well, it also looked like a lot of. Well, never mind. Artemis got to be in a lot of real sets. I feel like everything in Fairy World looked like a lot of green screen, but yes, but yeah, at least Artemis got to be in what was probably a pretty fun set.
And Judi Dench and Colin Farrell literally showing up for a paycheck. I swear to God, I could probably count on one hand the scenes where Judi Dench actually moved by herself and wasn't being wheeled around on something.
Yeah, Judi Dench definitely feels like it was just a. She reminds me of the like receptionist in Monsters Inc., where I just feel like she was I'm just sort of here, like the fairy world. Yeah, it's Officer Short. I'll have your badge. I'll have your badge too.
Do what you want.
It's just like, all right. Could you, Ms. Dench? Could you please just read that a little slower and with less emphasis?
So, spoilers abound for this. I'll go ahead and say I don't recommend this movie unless you are under the age of 12 or are obscenely curious. I think as a kid's adventure movie, this is fine. Something that you put on when the teacher is absent and you just got like a substitute going in there. Hey, whatever, we'll put on Artemis Fowl today.
There's definitely like some eye candy aspect to it that if I was like a little kid, I think I definitely would have been like, I would have probably had fun with the fairy world stuff, like seeing that universe. Like, it's not something about maybe with me now, I completely hated its aesthetic and I hated how it looked like in almost every frame. I hated like the leprechaun uniforms or whatever they were called. Like I did not like how a lot of that stuff, just like its style and its look. But as far as like something like if I was a kid, I feel like I would have been at least interested and like it felt invested in the CG world of it.
Yeah, so it's a movie for children that can turn their brains off. And
yes,
that's fine. But as an adult that can enjoy children's movies, I mean, I love almost all of the Pixar stuff. There are quality children's entertainment movies out there that you can judge this against. Like all the Harry Potter movies, I think those stand up. I think those hold up, but they're made for kids.
Yeah, and like there's plenty of recent great kids movies, like even like people were talking lots about Sonic the Hedgehog earlier. Like that's a perfectly fun kids movie.
I had fun.
Absolutely enjoyable as an adult. this significantly less so.
Yeah. As a film adaptation, I would not grade this below Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I've
Avatar:
still not seen The Last Airbender, so I can't confirm or deny.
Still holds the crown for possibly the worst adaptation in from one form of media to another.
Which is a real shame considering how high quality its source material is.
Which is, to its benefit, like, the source material is so amazing. I mean, it's streaming on Netflix now. I literally just rewatched it like a couple weeks ago.
I'd watched it for the first time like 2 or 3 years ago. Fantastic.
I would, however, put this below Dragon Ball Evolution.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I haven't seen Evolution in a while.
At the very least, I can enjoy how bad Dragon Ball Evolution is.
It's been too long for me. I don't know if I can really confidently say, but I do. Evolution also has the unfair advantage that I do know it's source material, so there's a lot more mentally for me to be like, oh, it's Yamcha doing that Yamcha thing kind of stuff.
Wolf Fang gun.
He said it. He's got the gun.
And don't get me wrong, Dragon Ball Evolution is absolutely a bad adaptation and a bad movie in general. But
he jumps with
so
the
bad.
Kamehameha.
It's so bad you can enjoy it. Artemis Fowl is just kind of bland bad. Like, it reeks of studio effort.
There's the only things that I will give that I do think are kind of like above and beyond bad, where it's just like, which is the thing is like they've already been practically distilled down into the tiny clips you can see. Is Diggum's feeding time. Like that was the first thing.
Eldritch horror.
That was the first thing I saw of this movie, which was like okay, maybe I'll watch this for a podcast. And like, but as bad as it is, that's like its peak as far as like fun bad. Like that's the best part of it. Everything around it, like there weren't any other parts that I was like, ooh, I want to clip that to show to people, because like none of it really stood up like that did.
Yeah, nothing stood out like that. Like there are these like little details, like when evil leprechaun soldier is like taking over for Judi Dench, and he has those like fucking soldiers thriller marching behind him like it's West Side Story or something. I look at little things like that and I can be amused.
Yeah.
But overall, there's like this movie feels ironically mirthless.
Yeah, it's just it just feels like I don't know. This sounds like the easy like dismissal of kids movie of thing I'm not into, but it feels really soulless in a way. Like it just like this feels like it was made by people who didn't really care about it, and it was just like, we're just gonna put it out, and like we're gonna make it put some flashy CG on there. Give us
quote unquote flashy.
Yeah, give us a cool looking troll thing maybe, and we'll bring it back later, and it'll be a big fight thing, and it'll be a thing of growth or some sort of, I don't know, just put it out. Kids will love it.
What they wanted, what they clearly wanted to do is Disney wanted to have a franchise like Harry Potter,
but then they decided apparently that they wanted to make it maybe let fewer movies than books, since it sounds like they've put them together.
I don't know. I think they wanted to turn this into its own beast, is almost what it kind of sounded like by the end of it. And just kind of like push it beyond that, make it its own thing, which, it's fine. Marvel basically did that. And, that works out. But they wanted to do like Harry Potter cross Marvel. And by wanting to do that, by overproducing it and going back and basically remaking the entire movie, or reworking the entire plot in reshoots, they took what could have made it good out of it. And I can't say for a fact that if they went ahead with, like just shooting the movie verbatim, maybe mixing in elements of the second book in there, that it would have been better. It still could have been awful. But all I know is what we do have. And
yeah,
it's rife with awful tropes, including narration to just give you all of the exposition you will ever need. And it's all done by Josh Gad, who should not be putting on the voice that he's putting on.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring it up because that voice sounded like such a stretch for him. And like I didn't know if it was because like I knew it was Josh Gad, so I knew kind of like what his natural voice sounded like. And it was like I felt like I kind of kept hearing little bits of it peeking out at different times, and the voice just never quite like it felt like someone putting on a voice, not what a character's voice was.
It's never more noticeable than in that lineup scene where he's about to be taken away to prison when he has to yell, and his normal voice is like busting out of it.
Yeah,
it's like, well, what are you gonna do about it? And then she walks away. Wait a minute, come back!
Oh, it's me. I'm Olaf from Frozen. Like it's though. To be fair, I would say out of all of the characters and actors and stuff in this, I feel like Gad committed to his role. Like even if his voice wasn't good for it, I felt like he was at least somewhat charming. His deliveries felt like, like even if the voice was off, they had energy, they were presented well. Like
he was
I would give him that above every other character.
By far he was the I dare say highlight of the movie.
Yes, like if there was one, it was him, and it's not just because he has the best so bad it's good moment. I would say genuinely as an actor and like presenting lines and doing dialogue, he seemed like the most invested as his character.
But we open on him like being taken into some nondescript human prison that's like on an oil derrick out in the middle of the ocean.
We basically have, I'm blanking on it, but whatever the super prison in the Avengers is. The little island prison.
And he spends basically the entire movie narrating the course of the events that we're that we're seeing. But in the beginning, all he does is just essentially like let you know how awesome all the characters are. In like the most mundane way possible. Like, Artemis Fowl is the smartest person on Earth.
And then there's the kid. Don't underestimate the kid. Like everyone does, because he's a kid.
He designed the Dublin Opera House in a contest, and he cloned a sheep at the age of 5.
If you don't think that's crazy, though, he also
learned how to translate fairy language on his own, but he's
for
really
some reason
smart.
He doesn't think it's real either.
And also, for some reason, he's still in middle school, despite the fact that clearly at that particular institute, he probably would have been advanced along, probably put into college. I mean, he comes from money, but we don't really want to talk about it.
It's cheesy and maybe cliche, but like when he was giving that intro dialogue, he's like, but when you're that special, you stick out. And like we cut to him having a scene with like a therapist or something. But when he said that, I was ready for like an emotional, like he is ostracized by children because they don't like him because he's different. Like I was waiting for something like that to explain his kind of antisocial tendencies, but like which not that necessarily needs like some sort of catalyst or explanation, but just felt like it would be some layer to connect you to the character a little bit more. But instead, they're like, when you're that good, you stick out. So here's him making fun of a person trying to help him.
I'll never forget like the fucking principal or therapist or whatever talking to him. Is just like, don't you see anyone as equals? Einstein and Hawking, most of their theories were correct.
Like it's
it's just like fucking hell. God damn, why is he even in school?
Our hero, ladies and gentlemen.
And based on the character he's supposed to be, it makes sense. He's supposed to be like the Gru. He's supposed to be like a criminal. I've just his like the way he puts everything forward makes sense for the type of character he was supposed to be.
I feel like a criminal mastermind would be better at hiding the fact that they are an unlikable criminal.
You'd think.
If you're a mastermind,
he's also a naive child.
Fair enough. He is still a kid. But yeah, that the way they introduced him, like, which I'm usually the kind of person who is in favor of like the smarmy, smartest character in the room guy. Like normally that's something that works on me, which tells me that they did something wrong here. Cause like I was immediately against this kid And I get that he's supposed to be kind of a jerk. He's a criminal mastermind, not being super nice goody two shoes. I get it, but just everything about this introduction kind of just rubbed me the wrong way, especially after Diggums builds him up as like, and he's the best. He's so smart and so cool, and everybody just loves him.
He's absolutely, and he loves his dad. And then he goes on to like he basically mentions nothing about Artemis Sr. And he goes on to talk about Butler in Domovoy. Don't call him Butler.
Yeah, don't call him the Butler. He'll break you.
Who in the books is very much a Agent 47 like character. He's cold, calculating, and is not afraid to murder a motherfucker.
This seemed like, if that's the case, in the movie he seemed much more like, almost like the humanizing factor for Artemis outside of his dad, because it was like we need someone for him to be able to talk to and to not just completely talk down to and seem like he hates them.
Where in the books, he is quoted as being the world's third most skilled martial artist, the second of whom is his own uncle, and the first is just some monk that lives somewhere on the planet. And yeah, he is basically Artemis's sword. That is what he is.
Which is fine. Like that makes sense. I could get that.
And he was one of my favorite parts of the book. When I'm reading the book, I always saw him as like a Jason Statham type, like Transporter-esque. And then they talk about his in the movie it's his niece, but in the books it's his younger sister.
Okay.
Yeah, Juliet. And she's just as cool as him, but she's also 12. So that makes hey girls, look.
Yeah, I hate to dismiss. We have such a rare time where there gets to be a strong female character, but Juliet did nothing in this movie.
She does nothing.
I forgot she was there until the scene at the house later, and someone kind of offhandedly mentioned just Judy, run, and I feel like that's right, she was here, and now we're the only reason I'm reminded that she's here is someone telling her to leave.
Yeah, she is an absolutely pointless character in this story, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I assume in the books they do something with her. I have to assume that there's some layer there that the movie just completely skips. But
she doesn't do as much in the first book, other than acting as a second butler, but a girl. Because they all come from this same insane family. Think of them as kind of like the Zoldycks.
Yeah,
that's basically what Butler's family is like.
I definitely got that vibe, especially when. Spoilers, when they thought Dom was dying, and Artemis says something like, all the butlers would be proud. Maybe that, if I hadn't already kind of pieced that together with it being him and his niece / I guess little sister, it's one of those things where it's okay, I get that this is a family. We've already got the Fowl family has a lineage of doing all of this magic stuff. The Butler family probably has their lineage of protecting valuable people, or maybe even specifically this family.
Yeah. And it's a really cool dynamic in the books. Juliet plays a much larger role in the third book, where basically Butler gets shot to death.
Okay.
And so basically Artemis, using some form of magic that he knows, or using some devices, basically puts him in a space of time where he's just he's clinically dead, but his body is still in the process of dying until they can find a way to bring him back. So they go off and try to find a MacGuffin to help them with that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Artemis gets more heart as the books go along, unlike in this movie where he just has it in a scene.
He cares about his dad.
Yeah, and again, the books are really good. They are solid reads for anybody that likes that kind of young adult fiction.
Then I apologize to everyone who was looking forward to this movie.
Yes, that is the most painful part, because let's go ahead and keep moving forward, because the entire plot revolves around the fact that Artemis's father, who is renowned around the world as a suspected, thief of the fine arts and things like that. He gets kidnapped by essentially the fairy Yakuza, or the fairy mob, or at least a member of the fairy mob.
Something like that.
Who is a character in the books. Like, they do show up. These are elements of the second novel, where his dad is kidnapped. Only in the book, he's kidnapped by the Russian mafia, and this Opal Cowboy, or whatever, is just a part of that story.
Which, such a, like, and I guess maybe they're trying to set up for more movies or something, but Opal felt like such a, as a kid, I would have loved cloaked villain in the dark with weird modulated voice, with the assumption, like it feels like the promise that we're gonna see that cloak come off, we're gonna have a terrifying face and probably a cool throwdown with scary ferryman. Nothing.
Nope.
Like at no point does, other than Artemis Senior, who was kidnapped and chained up and getting like some, I guess, weird magic crystals or something put in him or something like that. Looked like he was like crystallizing or something. Yeah,
he was getting encased by the nanobots from Big Hero 6.
Yeah, exactly. And thinking that like, okay, we're gonna have some dramatic, well, now we take the fight to them and we're gonna get my dad out, but it's just like no, he tells his dad to die. His dad vanishes. It's just like, we'd never get any more with Koval. Goodbye.
Yeah, you just kind of like teleport him out of there with the MacGuffin that is the central of this plot.
Yes.
Because basically the entire plot revolves around this MacGuffin acorn, which you can see in the icon of the movie, I guess. It dots the eye there. Apparently this is a very powerful magical artifact that can teleport, I guess, any number of things, like up to something the size of an army to the location of the user. I think is how it's explained.
I guess, because they talk about it being able to like using it as a door between realms or whatever. Which I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like I can get that idea of it being dangerous. We have these this one magic world kind of sealed off from ours. And it would be dangerous if they could openly interact, and this thing lets you do that. This is basically how I was reading it. But then it was like, well, let's use it's just...
Yeah,
I feel like they don't give you a good idea of what this MacGuffin is going to do and why it's so important for everyone to get it. At some point, they're like, it's like how the fairies, it's how we view the sun. Like, that seems... I don't know if that's exactly okay. That doesn't really fill any holes of my knowledge for this thing.
Not incredibly, no, because like this is the only real, like, you see a lot of like weird techno magic, which is honestly kind of cool. I like that in the world where like they kind of blend magic and technology down in the fairy world. They have kind of this a Black Panther esque sort of like magic technology going on that they use, even though their prisons are still really, really low tech, and they're cages in a cave.
Hey man, some departments get more funding than others.
Clearly. It all goes to the leprechaun. And so basically Artemis's dad gets kidnapped, and that Opal Cowboy just calls him because he knows Artemis' number.
Rings him up on his weird, like, green wristwatch thing.
It scans the face in order to call. I don't know. And it's like, I want this MacGuffin. Bring it to me, or your dad dies. How do I know you got him? Hi, son.
Bring me your Oculus Rift.
Yeah, bring it to me. I need the thing so that I can have it.
I want a Beat Saber.
And he's like, I don't even know what that is. You're a clever boy. You'll figure it out. Click. Okay. Luckily, Artemis is a clever boy and figures it out almost instantly.
I want you to get this thing. All right, cool. How do I get it? You figure it out. Bye. Yeah, it's not a great plan.
Yeah, meanwhile, you have this quote-unquote subplot with, like, the fairy world where Holly Short, who is, a rookie, just a mere 80-year-old rookie fairy who wants to find out what happened to their dad. And then she does, because her dad died in the human world under a tree on Artemis Fowl's lawn, and he left his dog tags there forever.
I will say I was very, very nervous when Officer Short was introduced. And I was like, okay, we got like, character from the other side who is clearly going to be our link here. Mm-hmm. And then Dench just drops, "You're a young girl, you're only 87, you've got plenty of life left in you." And that immediately put like the fear in me, like, oh man, Artemis and Officer Short aren't gonna like get romantic, are they? 'Cause that's gonna be really uncomfortable, and I'm really not gonna like that.
First of all, she's like in the equivalent of her 20s, so don't.
So still wrong.
Yeah. And like, so Artemis and Butler kidnap her in order to try to get the fairies to let them know, like, hey, where the fuck is this thing? Tell me about it. I want it now. Because like he thinks they have it, but they don't have it because it went missing with her father like years ago.
With like the most like coincidence-driven capture I think I could ever imagine. Like, my dad said that there was a fairy who used to meet him at this tree regularly forever ago, which we can assume is Short's dad. Like we can straight up confirm it. She finds his dog tag. Oh yeah,
there.
You're right. His dog tags are there.
It's still sitting there. Nobody's been out to like groom that land or be at that tree ever.
But he's been dead for, I can only assume, years, since she's acting like she's like...
At least decades.
And she's never, like, I think she says she's, like, never been to the surface or something, right? Like, she wants to go there to see it. And Dench keeps giving her the runaround, going like, you're not ready, you can't go yet. And then it's because her hand is forced, because everyone else is busy looking for this MacGuffin that we still don't know what it does. Like, she's like, well, I guess all our hands are tied, you get to go to the surface to deal with something.
Yeah, you go up there and deal with this troll that's attacking an Irish wedding.
Yeah, that's like on the other side of the countryside.
Which, by the way, don't even tell me nobody died there.
Yeah.
Like, that troll was throwing people around.
Irish.
Oh, was it? Because I thought they were in Ireland.
They were all speaking Italian at the wedding, though. This wedding
then
was
she
in
flew
Italy.
a very far way.
Yes. Like, that's what makes this even more absurd, is that her mission was in a completely different place. But it just so happens to be that when she does this mission, which goes, well, question mark, like, they eventually stop whatever they're going after that.
Yeah,
that
there's a nice, like, it's a Men in Black 2 moment, not a Men in Black 1 moment, where apparently, like, the fairies have this ability to freeze time using a little, like, technological time bubble thingy.
Which was neat. I liked that.
Very cool. Probably one of the cooler aspects. Like I said, I like the idea of what their technology does when mixed with magic. Though it only does it in a certain bubble, and we see that bubble doesn't even stretch the whole courtyard because there's, like, a window with a little music box still playing. Are you telling me nobody out there could see out and into that? Like, what was going on in that little time bubble?
It's the things like that. Let's just use the Harry Potter defense where humans see what they want to see. That's
true enough. So they Zawaru that area after this troll has literally thrown people, like crushed people, nearly eaten a number of them, and this entire wedding is just destroyed. And they go around and erase the memories of everybody. And as soon as the time bubble collapses after they carry away the troll, which they're just kind of carrying openly in the night sky,
yeah,
everything comes crashing back after the time goes back to normal. And everybody's just like, well, that was weird.
This is a weird wedding, huh? Yeah.
Like, everything just, to you, everything just spontaneously exploded. Yeah,
and
a little
guy
weird.
Fell off of like a ceiling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's at this mission that has absolutely nothing to do with the tree Artemis is waiting for a fairy contact at, because he assumes that a fairy is the only way he's going to be able to find this Aculus that's possibly hidden in his house.
That's what it was called.
Yes. So, perfect coincidence lineup. Holly decides, I'm going to go try and clear my dad's name by going to the last known place he was, I guess. Years ago again.
And immediately gets kidnapped.
Yeah, instantly kidnapped
First
by
mission,
Artemis.
complete fuck up, absolute detriment to the fairy realm.
And like, I don't know, I'm blanking on younger girl butler's name?
Juliet.
Juliet. Like, it's one of those things where this could have been a spot where maybe Julie got to do something, but Julie didn't even get to go on this mission. I had figured, like, Artemis, you're gonna stay at headquarters. You're too important. You're safe. The butlers will be out here doing the the dirty, scary work of getting our hands dirty and catching a fairy who, like, we're learning have powerful magic technology that could very easily turn lethal against us.
Yeah.
But we're going to go ahead and have our 12-year-old genius boy up here on the front lines and make sure that we don't give Julie anything to do.
Forget about that.
Yeah. But they capture her, and now she is under house arrest.
She's in a cage, and they all wear nice mirrored sunglasses, so she can't use her horrifying mind control powers. Like that one shot where she's trying to control the brains. I'm like, oh Jesus, that's a nightmare.
Yeah,
and so the fairies all learn that, like, she's gone missing. It's like, ah, oh, damn it, it's the same place, same dude. Fuck. All right,
we really should just put up a rope around that place.
Let's send the whole fairy military, all available units.
If humans learn about the existence of fairies, apparently that's really bad.
Yeah. Like, they send a D-Day landing onto his house after freezing time there, which I think they briefly explain how they figured out how to counteract the time stopping by, like, clearing their minds or some shit. But it's, like, literally a hand wave as to why it doesn't affect them.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, they hand wave it away in a line where it's like, oh, they're going to try to do this on us, so we're going to have to do X in order to counteract it. Okay. And
just really focus on time moving.
Yeah, and everybody does it flawlessly. All of the important characters do it flawlessly. So the fairies all invade. Judi Dench goes and talks to him, and, like, it's one of the better scenes, and I believe it was in the original script, because they're talking about ransom and shit like that, because here's where I'm going to get into where this diverged incredibly from the book, and where I think they changed a lot. In the original book, Artemis Fowl, he kidnaps Holly Short after, basically for himself, learning about, like, fairies and about, like, from his father's research, like, their world and stuff like that, because his dad, as is implied, is an absentee, and he just, like, kind of studies his shit while he's gone. He learns all about that stuff and kidnaps Holly out of his own regard in order to ransom her for gold. He just wants money.
So they were like, well, we can't make our hero stealing someone just for a ransom. That's not okay. We need to have a noble goal at the end of this road.
Which, if you go back and watch that Judi Dench scene where it's just him and her talking, which you never will, but they don't mention the Aculus except in ADR. Anything that's spoken off screen there. Everything else is this very cold, calculated conversation about, get me what I want, and you can have her back. And if you do anything stupid, I will prove to the world that all of you exist because I have definitive proof now. And, like, that therein lies the actual character of Artemis Fowl. Yeah. He's selfish, and conniving. He's a less murdery Moriarty is the way I could describe him.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is essentially what the plot of the first book is all about. And it's all about the fairies trying to negotiate and figure out, how to get Officer Short out there without having to pay this boy all of his money. And eventually they give him his fucking money. But they also his mother played into the first book, which... they
kind of vaguely mention her, and they're just like, she was great, and she was taken too early. But she really couldn't keep control of you.
In the book... she's basically been driven insane by magical means.
Okay.
And so they offer to, hey, or Holly offers to, help his mother out in exchange for some of that gold back. It's really weird, like half of the gold or something like that. But yeah, they do bring in Diggums, which leads to the most interesting and horrific part of the movie, the feeding time.
Yeah.
Where he turns into like a bloodborne monster.
Which I will give the book some credit here. Like, I think I like the concept of these dwarves basically just being big mammal earthworms. Like, it's like, we're gonna eat this dirt and we shit it out as we go, but that's just how we tunnel. Like, okay, like, that's fine. That's weird and goofy and, like, you know, maybe little, like, kid, haha, they poop their dirt. But, like, you know, all right, that's biologically I can get behind that. I'm all right with this.
But the way they showed it.
Yes, no, the effect on this was something fierce.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And by the way, for anybody out there, I read these books low on over a decade ago now, so I'm probably like not entirely up to date on everything. All I remember is that he gave gold in order to cure his mama, and maybe that was part of his plan to begin with. Maybe that you know what, honestly, that was probably the heart of Artemis all along.
That was the main plan.
But he still got half that gold.
No, yeah, still made some friggin' gold.
And so yeah, that's the big divergence there, is like that was the original plot, was like he kidnapped a fairy for money and to save his mama. So they decided to, like, and here's where I think all of the reshoots happened. I think they added in that, like, everything about the MacGuffin, like the little acorn and shit like that,
Man.
like afterwards.
If the Aculus was all a post thing, that's... Whew. That felt like it was... Everything about the movie was angling to get that thing. Mm-hmm. Which, okay.
It probably added about 15 to 20 minutes to the runtime. But the reason I believe that is so many of the mentions about it, and so many of the... so many like mentions of it and anything that has anything to do with it. All the characters are off screen talking. It's crazy. Like,
there's definitely at least one time where I remember that happening, and I thought it was like, that seems like a line you have the person on screen to say. Because I think it was like, and something, and don't forget don't leave without the Aculus, or some sort of like thing like that. And it's just like, but that line is being said over a character walking away.
Which means it was recorded after the movie was filmed, so they don't have to go back and reshoot the scene. Like, that's what ADR is, for anybody that's unaware of that particular practice. It's going in and dubbing stuff over. So anytime a character is speaking off screen and the audio quality shifts, that's usually ADR. And there is a lot of
quite a bit of it in this movie. And now that you're mentioning, it's mostly around where the Aculus is being talked about. Yeah, that does open up that suspicion there that was just the, hey, you know what? Maybe, what if we have a magic thing he's searching for?
And it's quite possible that they added in all of the Opal and Artemis Senior scenes. Like that, those were like an extensive part of the reshoots. Because let's be honest, there's not a lot of them, and they're all pretty short.
Yeah, and they're all in one spot wherever he's being held captive in that weird underground factory-looking place.
Yeah, that, like level 1 from GoldenEye, like that the dam level. It's upsetting to look at that and just see like where all of this went. And it's hard to blame any one person, I feel, for what came of it. It's just like you have to blame Disney, the studio, as a whole. Because this movie has been in development hell for, I want to say, a decade. Like it's been rumored for so long as to like how like this movie, like this thing being a licensed movie.
Man, you comparing it up to Dragon Ball Evolution up front is now making like, this is just feeling like kind of that story again of how it's like, for years we talked about the live action Dragon Ball movie and that it was totally happening, and it's just, it just keeps changing hands and different people have to work on it. And by the end, it's this amalgam of weird, strange ideas thrown on top of a license.
And by the end, I'm going to butcher the fuck out of the name, but Eoin Colfer just kind of like gave in and said like, yeah, you know what, this is fine. Just put it out there, please. Just get something.
Be done with it.
And now we end up with what we have. And it ends in the most cliche way too. Like it's up like...
Well, okay, so just to fill out what happens.
Oh, yes, of course.
Before we get there.
So
Holly has now been kidnapped. Artemis has her in basically in a little prison thing, and it's just like, hey, so here's the deal. I want the Aculus, because my dad has been kidnapped, and I really need it. Where is it? Find it for me. And she's like, we don't know where the fuck it is. Like,
we thought you'd know.
Yeah, we figured you had it. We're just as confused as you. But then we cut back to Diggums talking to whoever he's interviewing with. And he's like, and that's where Artemis's plan came in, when I would show up, the hero of the story, ladies and gentlemen. Like, he knows he's in a movie. Which,
and he's looking right at the screen every fucking time, too. I swear, like, there was a moment where I legitimately thought he was going to wink at the camera.
it would not have been above this movie for him to do that.
It would not have. And I don't know if I would have respected it more or less for it.
Which before then, we do get a scene that I want to give props to this movie whenever I can, because it's mostly bad. So when it does anything I even kind of like, I want to be like, hey, thumbs up to that. Again, Josh Gad being one of the few actors to kind of really play off this movie. His prison scene I thought was okay. Like I had fun with him and the goblins or whatever, who are apparently fireproof.
Yeah, like their skin is, but your brain ain't.
Yeah, like that part was fun. That was a perfectly fun kid movie prison escape kind of moment. But he's like, Artemis invited the fairies, presumably to find the Aculus, knowing they wouldn't know where it was, so they would bring in me to find it, because I would get distracted with that instead of doing the job I was sent there to do.
Yeah, Artemis somehow knew all about Diggums specifically or something in his plan.
Well, like, he says that dwarves can't resist treasure, so he understands that that's going to be part of it, and he knows his dad's home is basically a treasure trove. The thing I don't understand is, like, I get Artemis is a genius, and he's going to expect the unexpected and understand things like that, but it's not only did this dwarf come to my home, and he would be distracted by treasure, so he would not break free the prisoner I'm holding hostage. Also, he's going to find the one treasure in this house among clearly thousands. Mm-hmm. He's going to find the one I can't locate. It's such a stretch. And then, at no point do I think Diggums and Artemis ever even really talk to each other, but by the time Diggums is talking to the public, he is acting like, and me and Artemis, we go way back. I know everything about him.
We're best friends now. He's amazing, and I love him.
Purposefully set me up to get caught by you, so I would tell you his story. It's like, when did you talk to each other?
Yeah, so to go back and flesh out, the Aculus has been in Artemis's house the entire time, and Artemis either knew that or assumed that, but he needed Diggums to find it, and to unlock the safe with his nose and ear hairs.
Yeah.
Which, that happens. And then they send in that troll from earlier. After this, like, basically there's a coup in the fairy military.
Oh, God, I completely forgot about that part. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically tells Judi Dench, you're not in charge anymore, I am. Now send in the troll, which we've methed the fuck up. And now he's gonna fuck up that house and kill everybody. Also, turn off magic. Nobody's allowed to use magic.
Negotiations have broken down. We're here for a hostage situation. I'm sending in... I've made it clear I don't give a shit about this hostage. I have repeatedly said her dad's a traitor, and I think she's a traitor. I am here to take over this hostage negotiation situation. Let's tear the whole fucking house down.
So tear in this troll to kill everybody, and turn off magic to make sure she can't defend herself.
What could possibly go wrong?
So the troll basically wrecks shit, and eventually they beat it, but not until it crushes Butler in a very non-lethal looking attack. He never looks hurt, or damaged. They don't show what kind of damage. It looks like his legs and butt got crushed.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe he kind of got just sort of crushed to the bottom half of him.
Yeah, internal bleeding and stuff.
What I didn't understand is that didn't seem like it would be something that would be lethal to the troll, but the troll was just out apparently.
Yeah, it got trapped in a chandelier, which was it was basically the centerpiece of that whole, if you can call it, fight.
It was mostly just them creatively running away.
Yeah, it was a weird climax.
And that's when Julie gets to come back for a second when we yell, Julie, run.
Yeah,
and
Julie, run. And
she decides not to.
And then she like smacks it with a broom real quick, and then she jumps and tries to, get herself across the lobby by like trapezing on the chandelier and then missing.
Also worth noting, before all this happens, we have somehow managed to convince Officer Short to be on Artemis's side.
Oh yeah, because they're best friends now because they both have dad trauma.
Yeah, both of them know their dads and like them. So all of a sudden we're best friends now. And it's this weird thing but we still can't have Holly take part in this fight. That would be too good for her. So we're going to have her cartoonishly get stuck in a chandelier with her like
wings, her mechano wings.
And it's like I'm stuck, someone help me get out of here. And it's like this, everyone else dealing with a troll while she's just dangling from a chandelier with her magic turned off. Just hey, someone.
I want to get down now. So yeah, the world's most, I don't know, inept fight scene happens, and Butler gets crushed. And then everybody's really sad because he's dying. And Holly's like, well, that really sucks. I'm so sorry. And then Judi Dench is like, hey, asshole, you're not in charge anymore. And everybody else is like, yeah!
Yeah!
And she's like, turn on magic! And Holly's like, I got my magic back! And she instantly heals Butler.
Well, and there was one of those things where, like, even though I feel like it wasn't done very well, his injury seemed pretty ambiguous at best. It was like okay, if Dom dies, we have a reason for Julie to be there. She is going to like take the torch and be his new like lifetime protector, and that's how we establish her as a regular character in this. Is like we've gotten rid of her mentor so she can fill the shoes. But then it's like, no, snap my fingers, he's back, everything's fine, we're good. And it just felt like a completely unearned moment.
Yeah.
Just no part of it felt at all sincere or genuine.
Like, if I recall correctly, like, the whole troll situation does happen because the corrupt LEP dude is a piece of shit.
Yes.
And Butler is, like, literally throwing fisticuffs with this troll and does get injured. And Holly, realizing that, oh, shit, this is, like, he's the only one that looks like he stands a chance here because he's such a badass, heals him. And I think he, like, beats the troll to death with, like, a bat or something. Or, like, a club.
Oh.
Like, he beats it to death, and is instantly recognized. Basically, legends are told about him after that.
That sounds way more exciting than what happened here,
right? Where he just kind of gets crushed by the thing as it falls from the chandelier.
But like after that whole kind of scuffle goes down, by this point, I believe Diggums has found the Aculus. Mm-hmm. And has
eaten it.
And it's the time bomb starts going down or breaking apart or something.
Because they like shot it with one of the fairy magic weapons early on to make it unstable. So like, yeah, you only have this amount of time before it fucks up. Fuck off, fuckwad.
That reminds me, like the scene before that when they do shoot the time thing to start making it break is like the biggest condemnation of the fairy army, because a dude with one of their guns and a child are enough to overpower their like whole SWAT team trying to siege this house. And like it is like, not only do they fend off this full frontal assault from an army, they're like, also shoot that tiny thing way in the sky that is making this barrier around our house. And like Butler, who admittedly is praised as being incredibly trained and a very strong fighter, is like single-handedly doing all of this like it's nothing. And then they just go inside. They're like, all right, okay, cool. We've done our thing.
We did our thing. We'll be in here. Send somebody if you want to talk. Bye.
Yeah, and now it's been 30 minutes in real time in their world or whatever, and this thing is breaking down. Just so happens to happen right after we defeat the troll and get the Aculus. Perfect timing.
And some of the most horrific deaths I think I've seen in this movie happen, where like things get sucked into a singularity.
Yeah, like the
they
whole
just
thing
disappear. But sometimes they're okay when they get sucked into these weird secret world of Alex Mack puddles. Which, by the way, I think this is where the CGI just like they ran out of budget or something, because when the time field starts to destabilize, it looks bad. Like it looks like a mid-90s Capri Sun commercial.
No, it is. Yeah, it is not very good. And it is really unclear. Like, I am assuming some of the people who get caught in that time field or whatever are dying. But then it absolutely happens to Holly, happens to Diggums. They're both fine. Like, everything's cool.
It happens multiple times to some of them, but some of these fairies that get sucked into it are literally stretched into oblivion.
It's just so unclear what exactly, which is, I guess, fine. You're dealing with weird theoretical time magic science. But, like, at no point am I sure, is it a threat when they're getting sucked through here? Because I've seen people live through it and seem like nothing happened. But then there are other characters that they're like, we lost another one! And, like, the whole thing is we're here to rescue one person, so we set up this time bomb that's going to kill 10 of our own. Like, all the logical leaps here are real confusing.
And then they end up using the MacGuffin, like, after the fairies all, like, pissed off, because to basically, like, the only thing they really explained what it did is it's able to summon things from a great distance. So they use it to summon Artemis's dad back from captivity. And, like, Opal, the masked evil fairy, is like, no! Curse you, Gadget!
Yeah, it's like one of the most cliche, cheesy, just like looks to the roof, just no, as the camera kind of like pans out. Like it's and it's right after he like goes and died. It looks like he's turning the dad into like magic crystals or whatever. So I was totally ready for Artemis to be like, I rescued my dad, and like just a pile of ashes appears where he's supposed to be or something, and for it to be this like no one got what they want.
What I thought was going to happen was he was going to show up, but he was just this like this statue, this obsidian statue. Which would lead into a sequel where it's like, I need to find out how to reverse this.
Let's get Kobold and get him to undo this kind of thing.
Like, that at least sets up better for a sequel than what they did do, which was, everybody's happy, and then Artemis calls Kobold and being like, I'm coming for you now. Yeah, what do you think about that? What do you mean, how'd I get this number? Shut up, click.
It's magic, and I know how to do that now, because I'm friends with a fairy.
And a dwarf, who's my best friend, because we developed this amazing rapport at some point
this
throughout this adventure.
Incredible friendship where I told him my life story.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go rescue him from the FBI or something, because I told him to get captured so that he could tell this story so people don't mess with me.
Thank goodness this max security prison island has a glass ceiling in the interview
no
room.
Air support.
And zero air support.
Also,
because no one's ever tried to escape from this max security place, apparently.
Also, absolutely just proved the existence of fairies to humans. Completely went against his word. His one thing that he had against them.
Well, they never... No, here's the thing. He asked the fairies to give him the Aculus, or to find him the Aculus. They didn't, so that deal off the table was purely Diggums, and Diggums doesn't give a shit if people know about fairies.
But yeah, he admitted, like, he just, like, proves to a massive government organization on film that magic exists, and fuck you.
Which I also, like, I get that it's more the implication than actually what it is, but I love that his ace in the hole, like, no fairies are real, is showing that he has pointy ears. Like, it's that could be some good cosmetics, or, just some sort of genetic, anomaly.
Why not just show, I mean, he does show him his weird stretchy jaw.
Yeah, he does do the jaw stretch thing and tunnel out or something or whatever.
Turns into a fucking Junji Ito monster.
But that's proof. I will give you that. That is definitely actual evidence. But man, oh boy.
So that's Artemis Fowl, man. Like that's the movie. It is a big studio budget movie that went essentially direct to DVD.
Yeah, like that's Was this okay? This wasn't something that was like going to come to theaters.
Oh, it absolutely was. It was super planned for theaters.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was absolutely planned for theaters. And due to, the COVID stuff and all the theaters still being closed.
It's terrible. That might be like in the movie's favor that's what happened, because if people had paid to go to a theater to see this, oh man, like I was already like, man, I want those 90 minutes back when I was done. If I had paid for that specifically, not just as part of a subscription fee.
Trust me, if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic and this came out in theaters, this episode wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. Oh man.
That
shines this on a completely different light for me, because I was like, it wasn't good, but whatever. If you're gonna make a movie about a book series for your streaming thing
service, yeah,
like get this was served like it's a bad movie, but like I get it. Like, knowing that this was originally intended for a theatrical release puts it in a completely different tier of disappointing.
Disney has been having a pretty bad run of live-action movies lately. Like, some of their remakes have been okay. Did you see the Lion King one?
I did see the Lion King one, and I didn't hate it. There was definitely some stuff that like it's definitely not great, but
yeah,
I would say it was. I liked it better than the Aladdin one, honestly. I would say.
Okay, I did see the Aladdin one on an airplane, which is often how I watch these movies that I don't really care about.
Probably the best way to see them.
And I was unimpressed. I literally ended up fast forwarding through a bunch of it just to get to like the moments that I cared about. Like, okay, let me see Will Smith's Never Had a Friend. That was all right. Okay, Let me go see Prince Ali. That was okay. All right, let's see what they do with this. Wait, Jasmine has a song? Huh. And I just I'd fast forward and like see what's going on in the movie, and yeah, it's not great.
The biggest, just to touch on that for a second, the biggest sin the Aladdin remake did was completely take out Iago as a character. Like, it's just a parrot that literally does what parrots like, just squawks and repeats. It's like that's what made Iago so fun. It's it was all a ploy. But whatever.
Yeah, but before that, they had that awful Tim Burton Dumbo.
Fuck, I forgot that happened. Didn't see that.
Mary Poppins Returns, who I don't know anybody who's seen.
Did not see that, yeah.
I've heard cute things about Christopher Robin, but I also don't know anybody who's seen that.
I did watch Christopher Robin, and I'll go ahead and give that I'll give that a thumbs up. I watched it on Netflix like a year or two ago whenever it first came on there. I genuinely liked it.
Okay.
I wouldn't say like amazing, but just a fun time.
Right. And then before that was their last attempt at like destroying a childhood novel, A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh yeah.
Which also got incredibly panned. Like they have not been having a good stretch, and of course Mulan is kind of in purgatory right now because they want to put that in theaters because China
would definitely have at least they know they would certainly make their money back on it, at the very least.
And of course the less said about, which I don't know if you can call this like a proper Disney production or not, but it's definitely under the studio label. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Less said about that, the better. Woo! At this point.
I mean, hey, they've had pretty good run on their Avengers stuff. The Marvel things have been good.
Yeah,
I feel like most of the recent Marvel movies have been pretty good. Like,
I think that has all to do with who's overseeing it, though.
Yes, very much so.
Feige has like a really good head on his shoulders for like continuity and all this stuff. I mean, look at The Mandalorian. That's probably one of the best Disney things to come out in recent history. Certainly the most talked about Disney thing to come out in recent history.
Yeah, I don't think I finished it. I know I started it, but thinking back, I don't know if I actually got through the whole season.
It's solid and worth a watch if you're a Star Wars fan. Yeah, I don't think this will get a sequel.
I'll be surprised if it does. So,
final thoughts on Artemis Fowl, Grant?
hey, if you are desperately searching for something to fill roughly, 90, 100 minutes?
Yeah, about an hour and a half.
But you could technically do worse. It's my review.
Yeah, would you say that as somebody that worked in a day, or lived in a daycare / worked in a daycare, that this would be something that you could put on for just like a group of kids and they'd be for a few hours?
This would be here, you could throw this on for a very specific group of kids, I think. I think young, really young kids, I don't think they would like this at all. There's too much not stuff happening for too long.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Kids, I would say boys and girls looking for something like some sort of fantasy action between the age of 10 to 12.
That's a very specific age range.
Might enjoy this is where I would put this. Maybe 8 to 12. I might stretch it. There might be some 8-year-olds who could sit through the what feels like the first 2/3 of the movie with next to nothing happening.
Yeah, the entire core of the movie, the hostage situation, is literally what the plot should have been, because that's the interesting part, and is ironically the plot of the book. But
yeah, weird.
It's not good. I'm a fucking 30-year-old man that watched this movie. I knew I wasn't going to like it. But
it wasn't made for us.
It absolutely wasn't. But it's not. Okay. It's not even good on a so good it's bad kind of a thing.
There are things I love that were definitely not made for me. So I know this is not a realm that is impossible for me to enjoy. Far from it. Most of the things I like, I think, are more aimed at kids.
Yeah. I same here. I still love watching a lot of cartoons. I mean, hell, shonen anime is made for young boys in Japan. I fucking love it. But
I've been rewatching Hey Arnold recently. It's not even a super interesting kid show, but it's still good.
It has its moments. Stoop Kid doesn't leave his stoop.
It has personality and a soul to it.
This does not. And that is the biggest problem. It reeks of over corporate manipulation. And it feels soulless in every aspect because of it. So due to that, it's not enjoyable. I was lucky enough to be able to watch it with my friend Caitlin last night. We watched through it and we were riffing on it throughout. And I think that made it tolerable. Not enjoyable, tolerable.
I challenged myself to watch it last night, and I was like, no, I'm doing this for a podcast. We're going to be talking about this. No phones, no distractions. Let's just see if I can just sit through and watch this and try and take as much of it in as I could. I swear, by the time it was done, I felt like half of it had fallen out of my brain just because it was I feel like nothing's happening and I care for nothing about any of this.
So yeah, cannot recommend Artemis Fowl unless you have some 8 to 10-year-old boys and girls that you really need to
need that fantasy action fix, and they've seen all of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
I would put this when I was a kid, a movie that hasn't aged well, but I enjoyed around that age, Warriors of Virtue. I think I could put that on this level.
Never saw it, but that sounds about right.
So yeah, this has been the Talkcast Podshow. Everybody stay happy and healthy out there, and we'll catch you guys the next time.
I'm a criminal mastermind!